All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with 3 teams involved with developing COVID-19 vaccine today. Prime Minister to take part in world-famous Dev Deepavali festival in Varanasi this evening. Rajasthan government decides to close schools, colleges, cinema halls, entertainment parks in the state till December 31st. India to host SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in virtual format today. US President-elect Joe Biden announces all-women White House communications team. Guru Nanak Jayanti being celebrated with traditional fervour across the country and abroad. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin the bulletin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with 3 teams involved in developing a COVID-19 vaccine via video conferencing today. In a statement, Prime Minister's office said Mr. Modi will interact with the teams of the Genova Biopharma, Biological E and Dr. Reddy's who are involved in developing the vaccine. Earlier on Saturday, Prime Minister had visited Serum Institute of India in Pune as part of efforts to get a first-hand perspective of the preparations, challenges and roadmap in India's endeavour to vaccinate its citizens against COVID-19. Mr. Modi had also visited Zydus Biotech Park in Ahmedabad and Bharat Biotech facility at Hyderabad as part of his 3-city visit to personally review the vaccine development and manufacturing process. In his Mann Ki Baat yesterday, Prime Minister stressed the need for developing vaccine at the earliest and warned against any negligence in fighting coronavirus.
करीब 1 साल हो रहे हैं जब दुनिया को कोरोना के पहले केस के बारे में पता चला था। तब से लेकर अब तक पूरे विश्व ने अनेक उतार चढ़ाव देखे हैं। लॉकडाउन के दौर से बाहर निकलकर अब वैक्सीन पर चर्चा होने लगी है, लेकिन कोरोना को लेकर किसी भी तरह की लापरवाही अब भी बहुत घातक है। हमें कोरोना के खिलाफ अपनी लड़ाई को मजबूती से जारी रखना है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit his parliamentary constituency Varanasi today and take part in the world-famous Dev Deepavali festival in the evening. During his day-long visit, the Prime Minister will take part in many functions. Mr. Modi will dedicate to the nation the 6-lane widening project of the Handia Prayagraj Raja Talab Varanasi section of National Highway 19. The 73-kilometer stretch of the newly widened and 6-laned NH19, made with a total outlay of 2,447 crore rupees, is expected to reduce the travel time between Prayagraj and Varanasi by 1 hour. He will address a gathering also. During the tour, the Prime Minister will undertake a site visit of Kashi Vishwanath Temple Corridor project and also visit the Sarnath archaeological site. More details on this from our Uttar Pradesh correspondent.
Dev Deepavali, which has become a world-famous festival of light and fervor in Varanasi, is celebrated on every Purnima of the Kartik month. The festival will be started by the Prime Minister by lighting a diya on the Raj Ghat of Varanasi, which will be followed by lighting of more than 15 lakh diyas on various ghats on both sides of River Ganga. Many cultural troupes will perform on the ghats to welcome the Prime Minister, who will also address a small gathering there. Prior to this, Prime Minister will undertake a site visit to the under-construction Kashi Vishwanath Temple Corridor project to review its progress. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Varanasi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday said the recent agricultural reforms have opened new doors of possibilities for farmers. Addressing the nation in his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio, the Prime Minister said farmers had been demanding these reforms for a long time and his government delivered on this front. He said Parliament gave a legal form to the agricultural reforms after a lot of deliberations.
बीते दिनों हुए कृषि सुधारों ने किसानों के लिए नई संभावनाओं के द्वार भी खोले हैं। बरसों से किसानों की जो मांग थी, जिन मांगों को पूरा करने के लिए किसी न किसी समय में हर राजनीतिक दल ने उनसे वायदा किया था, वो मांगे पूरी हुई है। काफी विचार विमर्श के बाद भारत की संसद ने कृषि सुधारों को कानूनी स्वरूप दिया। इन सुधारों से न सिर्फ किसानों के अनेक बंधन समाप्त हुए हैं, बल्कि उन्हें नए अधिकार भी मिले हैं, नए अवसर भी मिले हैं। इन अधिकारों ने बहुत ही कम समय में किसानों की परेशानियों को कम करना शुरू कर दिया है।
Home Minister Amit Shah will e-dedicate 2 new flyovers in Ahmedabad, Gujarat today. The first flyover at Sindhu Bhavan Crossroads and second flyover at Sanand Junction will be dedicated through virtual mode. 245-meter long Sindhu Bhavan flyover has been built at a cost of 35 crore rupees, while a 240-meter Sanand Junction flyover has been built at a cost of 36 crore rupees. Mr. Shah, who is also the member of Lok Sabha for Gandhinagar constituency, will inaugurate the flyovers at 10:30 a.m. today. Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani and Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel will join the event virtually. Our correspondent reports that the state and the centre are in the process to convert a 44-kilometre long Sarkhes Gandhinagar Chiloda road into a 6-lane road. The Rajasthan government has said that schools, colleges, cinema halls, entertainment parks, etc. will remain closed in the state till 31st of December. The move comes after a sharp rise in COVID-19 cases in the state. The state reported 18 coronavirus deaths yesterday, taking the total number of fatalities to 2,292. The state also reported 2,518 fresh cases. The maximum number of 555 fresh cases were detected in Jaipur, followed by 395 cases in Jodhpur. A total of 2,34,336 patients have recovered from the infection in the state, and the number of active cases are 28,758.
The government today said that India continues to have one of the lowest deaths per million population globally. In a tweet, Health Ministry said, focused measures to ensure a low and manageable fertility rate have resulted in daily mortality figures of less than 500. In Delhi, a total of 4,906 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infection were reported during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 5,66,000. The Delhi government has said that over 5,22,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 6,325 people recovered and 68 deaths were reported in the city, taking the toll to 9,066. Presently, the total number of active cases in the national capital is 35,091.
In Bihar, COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 97.06%. This is 3.38% more than the national average. The number of active cases in the state are continuously declining. Currently, 5,648 patients are undergoing treatment at various hospitals. In all, 537 patients recovered in the last 24 hours, while 606 new cases were reported. Maximum positive cases of 234 were reported from Patna. Over 2,28,251 patients have recovered so far from the infection in the state. Over 1,35,000 corona tests were carried out in the last 24 hours. Over 1,45 lakh corona tests have been conducted in the state so far. The efforts made by the Madhya Pradesh government to maintain the mental health of children during COVID-19 have been appreciated by the Supreme Court. Justice Ravindra Bhatt has praised the efforts of trained counsellors in Madhya Pradesh for keeping the children mentally healthy by formulating individual care plans for each child and enhancing their creativity during the corona pandemic. The Supreme Court appreciated the MP government's efforts during the two-day meeting organized recently through video conference on this subject. More from our Madhya Pradesh correspondent.
Justice Ravindra Bhatt also directed the other states to provide counseling to children in need and to create a pool of counselors in the line of outstanding work of Madhya Pradesh. It is noteworthy that a pool of 106 psychosocial consultants has been prepared in Madhya Pradesh to provide counseling to children at the state level. 3,921 sessions were organized by psychosocial counselors personally on issues related to mental health of children during COVID-19. 14,029 group counseling sessions were also organized with children and their families. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 cases in the state climbed up to more than 2 lakh after 1,540 new cases were reported in the past 24 hours. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Gujarat recorded 1,564 new cases during the last 24 hours. The recovery rate in the state is at 90.95%. More details on this from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
The number of total cases of COVID-19 detected so far in Gujarat has reached up to 2,08,278. Out of this, 1,89,420 patients recovered. 1,451 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. More than 77,59,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. At present, total active cases in the state are 14,889, out of which 86 patients are on ventilator. 16 patients died yesterday, taking the total deaths due to COVID-19 up to 3,969. Meanwhile, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has added 152 private beds in the city hospitals and also added some hotels and hostels to work as COVID care centers. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Odisha, the COVID-19 active caseload has further come down to 5,264. 707 patients recovered yesterday, taking the tally of recovery to 3,11,256. 518 fresh infections increased the cumulative caseload of the state to 3,18,307. More details on this from our Odisha correspondent.
Against the backdrop of a sustained decline in new cases, the state for the first time since September 6th reported 4 COVID deaths in the last 24 hours. Earlier, COVID-caused fatalities in the state was in the range of 14 to 18 daily during the major part of the current month, with a positivity rate below 6%, while 10 districts out of 30 reported cases below 10 each during the last 24 hours. As many as 26 districts came off with fresh infection below 50 each. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In Tamil Nadu, the active COVID-19 caseload dipped marginally yesterday to 11,052, while 1,459 people across the state tested positive for the infection. The state government has said the vaccines against the viral infection would be given to all the people once it is ready. More details from our Chennai correspondent.
The State Health Minister Dr. C. Vijay Bhaskar inaugurated a 120-bedded COVID-19 ward at Rajiv Gandhi Government General Hospital at Chennai exclusively for COVID-19 patients with comorbidities. The ward has specialties including urology, nephrology and oncology. He said once the vaccines are rolled out, they would be given to the public without charging any fee. He said all preparatory works including arrangements for the cold chain network for the distribution of the vaccines are being carried out so that once the vaccines are approved, they could be made available to the public at short notice. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
In Andaman and Nicobar Islands, 6 fresh cases of COVID-19 were reported yesterday, while 19 patients recovered. The number of active cases have declined to 106. As many as 88 cases are in South Andaman, while 14 cases were detected in North and Middle Andaman district. The tribal district of Nicobar has 4 positive cases. 61 persons have died to date. Talking to AIR, Dr. Neeraj Gupta of Vardhman Mahavir Medical College and Safdarjung Hospital said that precautions are important while attending marriage ceremonies.
इसमें डेफिनेटली शेयरिंग इज नॉट केयरिंग. इसमें खतरा होता है क्योंकि ये उसी प्रकार का खतरा है जैसे कि आप अपना मास्क किसी और व्यक्ति को दे दें. सपोज आपने तौलिया यूज किया है, आपने उसकी इस्तेमाल की हुई कोई चीज उसके संपर्क में आप आ जाते हैं, या एक ही रजाई बिस्तरे में जहां अभी वो बैठे थे आप अंदर बैठ जाते हैं, तो चांस है कि आपको संक्रमण हो सकता है.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with 3 teams involved with developing COVID-19 vaccine today. Prime Minister to take part in world-famous Dev Deepavali festival in Varanasi this evening. Rajasthan government decides to close schools, colleges, cinema halls, entertainment parks in the state till 31st December. India to host SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in virtual format today. US President-elect Joe Biden announces all-women White House communications team. Guru Nanak Jayanti being celebrated with traditional fervour across the country and abroad. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
To get accurate, reliable and wide coverage of news, tune into AIR News 24/7 and FM Gold and listen to the major bulletins at 8:30 a.m., 2 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. in English and 8 a.m., 2:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. in Hindi of half an hour each.
India will host Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in virtual format today. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu will chair the meeting. In a statement, External Affairs Ministry said it will be the first time that a summit-level meeting will be held under India's chairmanship since it gained full membership of the organization in 2017. This summit is held annually at the level of Prime Ministers of SCO and deals primarily with the trade and economic agenda of the organization. India assumed the chairmanship of the SCO Council of Heads of Government on 2nd November last year as per rotation from the previous chair, Uzbekistan, and will complete its year-long tenure on 30th of this month.
India hopes to further strengthen greater trade, economic and cultural cooperation within SCO by putting human beings at the center of SCO activities and to foster greater peace and prosperity in the region. India's initiative will not only be helpful for SCO member states in overcoming the economic challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic, but will also signal its continued commitment to strengthening the organization. Prime Ministers from the SCO member states of Russia, China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan will attend the SCO meeting. Pakistan will be represented by the Parliamentary Secretary for Foreign Affairs. Apart from the SCO member states, the 4 observer states of SCO will also participate, including Afghanistan, Iran, Belarus and Mongolia. Turkmenistan has been invited as a special guest of the host. Anshuman Mishra, AIR News, Beijing.
SCO Secretary General made special mention of PM Modi's proposal at this year's SCO Summit of creating a working group in the field of traditional medicine. At the summit, PM Modi also proposed to create a special working group on innovation and startup that could share India's rich experience in the field of startup ecosystem. Under India's chairmanship, the first ever SCO Startup Forum was also launched this year. India has strongly and categorically rejected the factually incorrect and unwarranted references to India in resolutions adopted by the Organization of Islamic Conference, OIC, at the 47th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers in Niamey of Niger. The session was held on 27th to 28th of this month. External Affairs Ministry in a statement said that India has always maintained that OIC has no locus standi in matters strictly internal to India, including that of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which is an integral and inalienable part of India. The ministry said it is regrettable that OIC continues to allow itself to be used by a certain country which has an abominable record on religious tolerance, radicalism and persecution of minorities to indulge in anti-India propaganda. The ministry has strongly advised the OIC to refrain from making such references in future.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has called on UAE Prime Minister Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum and handed over a personal communication from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During the meeting, both ministers underlined India's role as a reliable partner in all respects and discussed prospects for economic cooperation in the post-COVID era. He also thanked the UAE Prime Minister for taking care of the Indian community in UAE. Dr. Jaishankar also visited the India Pavilion at Expo 2020 site in Dubai and was briefed by India's ambassador to UAE, Pawan Kapoor. The minister reviewed the progress of India Pavilion in showcasing India's and UAE's strengths in innovation and technology. Dr. Jaishankar recently embarked on a 3-nation tour to Bahrain, UAE and Seychelles. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has appointed an all-women White House communications team. He has chosen former President Barack Obama administration's State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki as his White House press secretary. Psaki currently oversees the confirmations team for the Biden-Harris transition. During the Obama-Biden administration, Psaki held several senior roles, including White House Communications Director and State Department spokesperson under the then Secretary of State, John Kerry. Mr. Biden's communications team will be led by Kate Bedingfield, who will serve as the White House Communications Director. Bedingfield has served as Deputy Campaign Manager and Communications Director for the Biden-Harris campaign. Guru Nanak Jayanti or Gurpurab is being celebrated with religious fervour across India and the world today. It marks the birth of the first Sikh Guru, Guru Nanak, who laid the foundation of Sikhism. This year marks the 551st birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. On this day, devotees around the world offer prayers. The Golden Temple in Amritsar celebrates Gurpurab with Macha Plomb. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted the people on the occasion. In his Mann Ki Baat program, Mr. Modi said he is deeply inspired by the noble ideals of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Prime Minister Modi said the world over, the influence of Guru Nanak Dev Ji is distinctly visible.
ये गुरु नानक देव जी ही थे जिन्होंने लंगर की परंपरा शुरू की थी और हमने देखा कि दुनिया भर में सिख समुदाय ने किस प्रकार कोरोना के इस समय में लोगों को खाना खिलाने की अपनी परंपरा को जारी रखा है। मानवता की सेवा की ये परंपरा हम सभी के लिए निरंतर प्रेरणा का काम करती है। मेरी कामना है हम सभी सेवक की तरह काम करते रहें। एक बार फिर गुरु नानक जयंती पर मेरी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu have greeted people on the occasion. In his message, Mr. Kovind has said that the life and teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji are inspiration for all human beings. He showed people the path of unity, harmony, fraternity, comity and service and gave an economic philosophy to realize a lifestyle based on hard work, honesty and self-respect. The President said that Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave the basic mantra of Ek Onkar to his followers and insisted on treating all human beings equally without discriminating on the basis of caste, creed and gender. Mr. Kovind said that his message of Naam Japo, Kirt Karo and Vant Chako contains the essence of all his teachings. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has greeted the nation on the occasion of Guru Nanak Jayanti. In his message, Mr. Naidu said that the founder of Sikhism, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, has remained an icon of truth, compassion and righteousness through his noble life. He has a unique place among the spiritual leaders, preceptors, reformers and saints of India. Mr. Naidu said his teachings have universal appeal and would forever inspire us to follow the path of compassion and humility and to show respect for all humankind irrespective of caste, creed or religion. In Chhattisgarh, paddy procurement at minimum support price will commence from tomorrow. This procurement will continue till 31st of January next year. All preparations have been completed for paddy procurement. A report from our Chhattisgarh correspondent.
Paddy is the major crop of Chhattisgarh. The state is known as the rice bowl of India. This year, more than 21 lakh farmers have registered themselves to sell paddy under MSP scheme. These farmers have grown paddy crops in about 28 lakh hectares. Last year, the government had purchased around 84 lakh metric tons of paddy from more than 18 lakh farmers at a support price. A state-level team of officials has been constituted to conduct paddy procurement in a proper manner and to ensure that farmers do not face any problems. Apart from this, the government has made strict arrangements to keep vigil in the border districts so that no person from the neighboring states could illegally sell paddy in Chhattisgarh. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
The low-pressure area observed in the Andaman Sea and its adjoining southeast Bay of Bengal and the equatorial Indian Ocean intensified into a well-marked low-pressure area yesterday. The Met Department in Chennai said that the weather system is expected to further intensify into a depression and move towards the coast. Kerala State Disaster Management Authority has urged the public to take adequate precautions as the Meteorological Department forecasts heavy rain and strong winds in the state from tomorrow on account of low pressure formed in the Bay of Bengal. Fishing activities have been prohibited from midnight tonight as the sea is expected to be rough. Fishers who are out at sea have been advised to make for the nearest coast by tonight. The Departments of Revenue and Local Self-Government have been directed to make arrangements for opening relief camps in the case of any emergency.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital had generally fog in the morning and will have mainly clear sky later, with temperatures varying between 9 and 25 degrees Celsius. Mumbai, the temperatures will vary between 22 and 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have partly cloudy sky. The temperatures will hover between 22 and 30 degrees Celsius. Kolkata again is likely to have mainly clear sky. The city observed a minimum temperature of 16 degrees Celsius and the maximum may go up to 28 degrees Celsius. In Jammu, the minimum temperature was 9 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 25 degrees. Srinagar, the temperatures will hover between -2 degrees Celsius and 13 degrees Celsius. In Leh, the minimum temperature was -9 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 1 degree. Gilgit will have mainly clear sky between -2 degrees Celsius to 16 degrees. Muzaffarabad, the temperatures will move from 4 to 18 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. With the rise in the frequency of cold waves this season, harsher winter ahead. Delhi sees coldest November, writes the Asian Age. On the COVID front, the Hindustan Times writes, Capital adds fewer than 5,000 cases for second day, while the Business Standard writes, COVID vaccination plan to match election drill, Aadhaar voter ID card may be used to draw up the first round of names. Many newspapers today have captured pictures of participants of the Airtel Delhi Half Marathon on Sunday. The Hindustan Times caption reads, Marathoners have Delhi's pollution. The Tribune carries a picture of an illuminated golden temple as the country celebrates the 551st Prakash Purab of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. With working from anywhere being the emerging trend in the corporate world, work from home to spur contract hiring in small cities is a lead story in the Financial Express. And finally, the Indian Express has a unique story of the 90-feet eco bridge built on the Kaladungi Nainital highway. This bridge would help reptiles cross the jungle road without the fear of being crushed under vehicular traffic.
In some sports news, Australia defeated India by 51 runs in the second one-day international of the three-match series at the Sydney Cricket Ground last evening. After setting a target of 390 runs, Australia restricted India to 338. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with 3 teams involved with developing COVID-19 vaccine today. Prime Minister to take part in world-famous Dev Deepavali festival in Varanasi this evening. Rajasthan government decides to close schools, colleges, cinema halls, entertainment parks in the state till December 31st. India to host SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in virtual format today. US President-elect Joe Biden announces all-women White House communications team, and Guru Nanak Jayanti being celebrated with traditional fervour across the country and abroad. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.